The wonderful overview of housekeeping and the jolly holiday elevator music per se. Definitely, with kind of today's current environment, it's hard to keep up with everything such as the holiday shopping and, stay in the mood, but it is a very exciting time. And, first off, thank you so much for giving your time and afternoon and interest into ReSkill Arkansas. So kind of the plan for today is going to be just kind of a recap of who we are as an organization. We're going to do a deep dive into some of the common IT career paths. I recognize a couple of names just from our application system and even from a previous webinar. This webinar will be very similar in content. We're kind of going to use the same slides, but I will be kind of the main speaker going through it. I have more of a recruiting HR background, not as technical as Kristen Moore on our team. Unfortunately, she is a little under the weather and unable to attend today. So myself and then Katie Frazier, another recruiter on the talent acquisition team here at ACDS, will be chiming in and also be your point of contact for any questions via chat. So feel free to send those direct to her or just put it in the group chat for everyone to see. I definitely want today's webinar to be very conversational. So please chime in with any questions or commentary. We want to make sure our conversation today adds as much value as possible. I don't even think I introduced myself. So I'm Ashley French, as my Zoom name tag states. I work for Arkansas Center for Data Sciences. And for those of you kind of new to the ReSkill Arkansas crew, we are a nonprofit dedicated to retaining and growing IT jobs and talent to the great state of Arkansas. Over the last 5 years, we've seen a trend, not just in our state, but other states, to where IT companies or just organizations are outsourcing their IT functions, whether that's overseas, or to specific tech hiring hubs like Silicon Valley or Austin, Texas. And I don't know about you, but I think Arkansas is a great place. We've got a great cost of living. And so we are trying to retain those job opportunities for you guys to be able to support that ecosystem. And kind of going into, well, what is ReSkill Arkansas? What have I got myself into? So ReSkill Arkansas is kind of one of the programs that we at ACDS support. This is a partnership between our great friends at the Office of Skills Development and the Arkansas Department of Workforce Services. And it's really a direct result from our governor's focus on STEM education and job growth within the IT job category. The ultimate goal for this program is to help you become employed, and specifically focusing on the technical skills and abilities that you offer to employers and to really help you become more marketable to employers. We also want to just make sure that you're aware from an awareness standpoint of all of these really cool IT careers that are out there. So that's kind of the big goal for today, is hopefully shedding some non-technical jargon on kind of what these job titles are to help you be able to better decide which career track is best for you. Okay, so kind of looking at the developer track. First off, I probably should back up to kind of share with you from a job search standpoint. Job titles are really going to vary between companies. Larger organizations like an AT&T or a Verizon may have the same job title, but the day-to-day duties may vary. Some companies call this position a software engineer. So just know that the job titles may vary, and kind of on each slide, we do have a section on some of the common job titles used. In short, developers are going to write some code. They're utilizing various programming languages to create really fun interactive game software, robotics, automation, custom applications. So think of how you pay your AT&T bills. So from a mobility standpoint, most organizations are going to have a specific team of developers that focus on the mobility component and creating those apps for the end user or customer. They're also going to do a lot of testing and debugging. So if you like kind of the concept of trial and error and trying to figure out why something isn't working correctly, this could be kind of an interesting career path to you. If you like finding flaws in logic, typically with code, it is very logical in how it is written and presented. Definitely have to be detail oriented. As a recruiter, I'm a talker, so I would not be very well suited for a position that really requires a lot of attention to detail and spending time specifically in front of a computer. A cool piece of development or programming is the fun creative design. So I often talk to individuals that maybe have a graphic design background, maybe in more of a traditional print platform, that are wanting to transition into something more interactive, such as software development. Typically that's going to be targeted to more of a web developer or a front-end developer. There's also a need for someone to work on what they call kind of the back end. So being able to support internal systems and things kind of more behind the scenes that probably doesn't have a lot of code involved in looking at the colors and display features and how anything is moving, or video kind of content pieces. I have found that there's various shift opportunities when you're within the program or developer space. There's often a third shift at overnight, especially when you're looking at any type of integration or go live. A company wants if the system is going to fail or have a flaw, hopefully that to occur in the evenings when not as many users are using that tool or experience. Some common skills to know. If you're just starting out with, coding or programming, a really cool app that you can download for free is called Grasshopper. That's going to very much kind of at a remedial standpoint. It kind of gives a gamification to where you can try it out just to see if maybe programming is an area you're interested in. Also, a great tool to check out is GitHub. I have recruited for different software engineer developer positions in the past, and a lot of managers aren't too stuck on work experience, but they want to know how well you can code. They want to see examples of those projects, whether that's a website that you built for fun, or an app that you did for a friend. But GitHub is a really cool tool that has free self-learning. You can collaborate with other developers, ask questions, and it also almost acts as a profile that recruiters can interact with you and present you job opportunities. So kind of takeaways for if you're interested in the developer track is test out some coding opportunities, whether that's Grasshopper or Code Academy online. Kind of some common languages that we see across the board. From a web standpoint, it's going to be HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. There's also Java, C++. I've seen a lot of postings out there for .NET. Now also kind of looking at more the legacy, some corporations that maybe have older systems internally. You're looking at, COBOL, and of course SQL. SQL is a great language that kind of goes across the programming developer track, as well as going into more of the data analytics. For those of you on the call that have already started some of our training courses provided through the University of Arkansas Global Campus, a great course to start off with, or maybe your next selection, would be creating web pages. It's self-paced. You'll have 90 days of access to kind of go through the different learning modules. I think there's about 12 quizzes. And kind of as you're going through that training, be thinking of what kind of project you want to start working on, because I think we all can somewhat agree that, kind of trial by fire or learning as we go is a great way to quickly add a new skill set. So just don't be afraid to put yourself out there and try to build something from the ground up. And yeah, as Marie kind of chimed in on the chat, please feel free to be interactive, especially because, the sound of my voice may get a little repetitive. Would love to have some conversation as we go. And Katie, Marie, or Michael, feel free to chime in as our conversation kind of adds on. All right, moving on to tech support or IT operations. From a job title standpoint, a lot of companies are going to post this as a help desk or desktop support. Think of, again, kind of the AT&T, when you call, after you make it through all of the automated prompts, you eventually hopefully get to talk to someone on their tech support team. And they're going to go through typically some different types of scripts to help you troubleshoot or resolve whatever issue you're having. And actually, in a conversation this morning I had with a candidate who had, some call center background. And I kind of recommended, what do you think about going into a help desk or desktop support? And her feedback was, I don't know if I really want to get back into a role that is dealing with customers that typically don't call when things are fine and dandy. Typically, they are going to call when there's something wrong. So being able to, build rapport with customers or internal customers per se, to be able to ease their concerns, kind of deal with those frustrated customer opportunities, and help them fix their technical issue. There is an opportunity for an internal help desk at companies. And when you're dealing with other employees versus an external customer, they're typically not the same level of frustration. It could be a very simple, they need a software upgrade or helping them reset their password. Anything within the tech support or IT operations, think of, in general, having some type of hands-on experience fixing technical issues or conducting some type of maintenance issue to prevent a future system error or prevent a future problem. Even like a company-wide software upgrade. It could be something that an IT support person would be working on. So again, very patient type of individual, comfortable with various communication. A lot of times, just for efficiencies, companies are going to use some type of ticketing system or some type of call queue that is receiving a log of the issue. A lot of times they're doing that just for data retention purposes. If they start seeing the same type of ticket for a specific issue, then they know maybe they need to relook at how they're training the end users, or maybe there is a bug that they need to uncover. So if you are, open to more of the hands-on hardware side, if the thought of fixing something broken kind of excites you, if you're kind of the tech person in your household, that you're the go-to person if someone's internet or router, or to set up a new internet system at your neighbor's house, this could be an interesting area for you. So again, kind of that problem solving, solution, and again, this is another IT occupation that has different time shift opportunities. Kind of just some common skills to know. Anything within the networking space, anything within the hardware troubleshooting. Most companies are going to like to see some Microsoft Office exposure. The resources we're providing through ReSkill. There is a great introductory course called CompTIA A+. That's not tied to an actual certification, but it does kind of give you a platform to, if you do want to pursue that certification later, kind of puts you on the right track, and really, again, focuses on kind of a great overview of the components and the hardware side. Another great course to kind of point out, and I don't remember if we mentioned this, but this slide deck will be sent out to you. So don't feel like you have to take a ton of notes as we go. And we'll make sure that the hyperlinks are included in there. Oh, Stephen, I'm just now seeing your chat on talking about compensation. So yeah, I can definitely add that into kind of each career, the career kind of track we focus on. I'd say, kind of going back to developer, I would say kind of that developer one, software engineer one. So if this is, it's hard to gauge without knowing your specific skills and abilities. But if this is kind of your first job opportunity, you're kind of in the novice, have put together a couple of web projects, I'd say on average that a developer is going to start off in the 35 to 45 range. Of course, that's going to vary from company to company and your skills and abilities. And then for a kind of help desk, network support, IT operations, I'd say, some of those positions may roll into more of the hourly rate. Probably on average for Arkansas, I'd say, closer to the $14 to $15 an hour. But again, it will vary from company to company and geographic location, and again, your skills that you bring to the table. All right, well, moving into the data analytics space. I do want to give a great shout out to Marie has coordinated a wonderful webinar coming up. It's the day in the life of being a data analyst. That is out on our calendar of events on our website for December 15th at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. So pencil that in your calendar, and maybe I can ask Katie or Marie to add that link when you get a chance to the chat. But again, a data analyst will vary from company to company, but kind of in general, a data analyst is going to use data and kind of correlations based off of the data to make recommendations to the business to make decisions by. Kind of gone are the day of making a decision based on just your gut. Well, I think we should make the decision to move forward with this strategy. Well, typically, a company nowadays is going to want to know, what data do you have to support that business decision or that strategy? So they are doing a lot of work in Microsoft Excel. So if spreadsheets excite you, if you have your budget and kind of bills just for your personal use logged in a Excel file like my crazy husband does, this may be an interesting track for you if you're into those type of tools and seeing how you can manipulate that data into a fun chart or you know, identify it to use different trend analysis. There's some really cool, they call them data visualization tools that for those of us that don't have a graphic design background can pull the raw data into a meaningful chart. Tableau and Power BI. Power BI is within the Microsoft suite, are kind of two very common visualization tools that we see companies liking to see on individuals' backgrounds. SQL is a very great skill to have in your back pocket if you're interested in going into analytics. There's some really great courses out on Code Academy that are kind of introductory to what is this thing they call SQL. You know, within the data analytics space, you're also going to do some of that testing that we talked about, you know, back in the developer track. So testing, you know, it's really more referencing how you play around with the data and how you correlate it and create it and put it into different dashboards and pull it into, you know, meaningful type of reports that, again, businesses can use to make decisions. So if this kind of sounds interesting to you, or you're interested in finding patterns and again, problem solving, you know, seeing the big picture, you know, this could be kind of an interesting area for you. I see folks that, you know, in high school, maybe they really enjoyed their statistics class where I avoided it as the plague. You know, if you're into sports statistics or even, you know, stock market data, this could be an interesting area to work with it. You know, some common job titles that we see out on Indeed or the various job boards, other than just a data analyst, could be a business analyst. Sometimes in a company, a business analyst may have a little more duties kind of within the project management space. A data specialist could be another job title frequently used. And of course, the SQL analyst, or sometimes it's even called a SQL developer. But definitely a really great kind of broad career track for someone that's really interested into counting kind of random things or double, triple checking, again, that attention to detail or just overall interest in numbers and statistics. Oh, and Michael, yeah, that is such a great movie out there right now on Netflix is Moneyball. So of course you're more than welcome to Google a YouTube video on what is a data analyst, but also really great movie shout out is Moneyball to see a real industry example on how data is being used. Cyber security. Whew, what a hot industry right now. And I'm not just saying that because my credit card data was stolen last week for the second time, but it's definitely taught me to be very mindful on what kind of these phishing attempts are. So if you think of, you know, kind of what hackers are doing, especially with more and more of our brick and mortar retail stores, they're having to move into an online presence. More and more companies are having a remote workforce. So that company has to protect their proprietary internal data. So who's responsible for protecting that data? Well, often it's going to be a cybersecurity or IT security team. And, you know, I see kind of a common theme of individuals that are currently in the cyberspace are our military veterans. If you have veteran within any of the branches, often those individuals kind of have an internal need to serve and protect. And essentially, that's what a security analyst is doing. They are protecting a company's data. Um, and cybersecurity, um, yes, it is a very hot job right now. I'll be honest, it's hard to get into. Individuals currently in IT are trying to get it transition into that space. A great position to kind of start is going to be like a SOC analyst or a NOC analyst can kind of transition into the IT security space, because again, you're getting a lot of exposure to the network side of the house, looking at how people are accessing your network, whether it's through different firewalls, and overall just trying to figure out how to prevent or kind of go through how to protect your servers, your websites, and your internal data. There's some really cool tools that actually somewhat automate these features of threat prevention to where it will trigger different alarms. And so an auto email or an alarm could be sent to a NOC analyst or a security analyst. And their job is basically to investigate, is it a real threat? Or was it Katie, one of our employees, Googling something or trying to access a site she wasn't supposed to? Or is it an actual threat of someone overseas maybe over in Russia, trying to hack our customer data and our credit card files? So if you are into, maybe detective thinking, if you like to think like the bad guy, I also see a lot of companies prefer anyone with police experience. If anyone was in, again, kind of that protector type role, because they can almost think like the bad guy and really help prevent future issues from recurring. Again, another job that can work various days or nights, so there's definitely that flexibility there. Their focus is really making sure employees or external parties follow the rules. So if you're a rule follower, you like to, stay within a common path. Maybe not someone that likes to paint outside the lines often, but someone that really likes to keep others in check and make sure that they're comfortable sometimes being the bad guy. Sometimes you have to often tell a individual, no, I'm sorry, you can't connect that internal tool because they don't have an updated website certification on their server. So lots of really cool kind of features within being that detective, being that rule follower. A great space to kind of start online is SANS, S-A-N-S, has a free course that gives kind of the basics of IT security and kind of what some common examples of pen testing and different internal protocols for compliance purposes. All right, we are 30 minutes in, and I know I kind of did a very fast overview of some of the common career tracks, but again, don't feel limited to within these areas. I would encourage you to, go out online and do a little bit of Googling and self-learning to see what areas excite you most. And you don't have to be laser focused or stuck just on one career track, but because so many of the positions kind of learn and grow across each other, especially with, a basic understanding of networks. That would be very beneficial for someone targeting the IT security track, or in help desk type of occupation, or even, within the developer space, knowing what behind the scenes is all about for the coding application that they're working on.
Ashley, we have a question. Can you talk about next steps after taking the assessment?
Yes, yes. And you know what? I think I may have skimmed over our process. So let me hop back to that. So if you're on this call, you've actually already completed kind of the application assessment. So picking back up where you mentioned. So after completing the assessment, you kind of go into, the order may vary. Myself or Kristen Moore would be reaching out to conduct a one-on-one phone interview, or you may already have received a email giving access to some different online learning tools. So for everyone on the phone, you're kind of at probably different stages of the process. But in general, the next steps would be either a phone interview or some self-learning. And then once you have kind of started that self-learning, hopefully kind of got a better understanding of what technologies are out there, what opportunities are out there. From that point, it kind of goes into how do we get you ready to apply for jobs? And that's going to start with your resume. So one thing we like to accomplish in our kind of one-on-one phone interview is giving you some feedback on your resume, and kind of going through send a revised version, and let's see how we can get it to the point to where when you apply for a job, you're not going into no man's land and never hearing back. Our goal is to help you get that resume to the point where you're getting those interviews. And then in addition to us helping from an interview prep, mock interviews, resume feedback, kind of the application process to employment, that's going to be a partnership. Being a part of ReSkill Arkansas does not promise job placement. Think of myself, Kristen, Katie, and Michael on the talent acquisition team. We are more of kind of, I don't want to say just a recruiter, we're more of a career advisor, your cheerleader. We're rooting for your success. We want to give you that valuable feedback and some tools from a technical training standpoint, from a resume feedbacks, just from job search tips. I think that's going to be kind of the topic of the next webinar we're going to host, is how to automate your job search and help you make sure that you're applying to the right positions with the right type of resume, and give you some insight on what hiring managers, or what we're hearing from hiring managers and they like to see on a resume. So, sorry, I'm a little bit of a rambler. I may have gone a little further, but next steps after the assessment is going to be either a phone interview or some technical training.
Okay, I've got a couple questions for you. First one is, when I complete a program and pass it, can I enroll in a second program to further my learning?
Absolutely. So as of right now, we still have funding for individuals to take up to 3 courses. Now that may change, so that may vary. So don't quote me on that, but as of now, if you have completed a course, you are eligible to register for another one. Now we do have a requirement that you can only sign up for 1 course at a time.
Okay, next question I have. So for an individual that wants to go further into their skills, to learn, very deep Excel, learning about graphics, Visual Basics, what recommendations do you have?
I probably need to grab my cheat sheet. So I kind of have a cheat sheet of some great online tutorials and learning. Again, so kind of step 1 is going to be from a self-learning standpoint, but you're going to have to think of some type of project that you can highlight that technical experience on a resume and in an interview. I think it was, I think it's Code Academy that actually has a data warehouse, so actual data that you can play around with.
Okay, we have another question. After completing the phone interview and completing one of the courses, specifically the Creating Web Pages course, what do I do next?
All right, so if you're interested in the developer track, I believe after your phone interview, you may have received some recommended online learning and tutorials. So I would put, and this is me without knowing specifically your background, Melania, but I would start thinking on what type of development project you can start working on. And definitely check out GitHub, create a profile out there. It's free, and that can be almost like your digital portfolio to be able to showcase the programming languages that you've learned and highlight those skills. So it's very difficult to say exactly what is next in the process because everyone's in a different place kind of their job search and kind of the positions that you're interested in. So I'd be happy to follow up with you one-on-one, Melania, to give you additional insight.
We have another
Ms.
question.
Carter, all you need to do is answer the phone and be open to sharing kind of where you're at from a current technical standpoint and what type of careers you're targeting. So really, you shouldn't have to do anything to prepare. It's just a conversation. We'll go through, just kind of typical interview questions, give you feedback on your resume. It would be helpful maybe if you had your resume pulled up while on the phone, so we can kind of line by line if there's any areas to fix or edit. So I am curious if anyone wants to share kind of any feedback on their own experience with any of the online trainings that we have provided. I heard, I think from a candidate earlier today that she really liked the chat feature. So after every quiz, there was a chat feature with other student participants. And it was a really cool way to collaborate and talk to other job seekers. Anyone want to share any feedback or thoughts? Oh, it's after lunch. Everyone's tired, not ready to be on camera. I understand. All right, so I have been learning web development on your own. Oh, absolutely. I think that would be a great way, to either share feedback on a project, but I think we also have to think about when you're job searching, kind of the first step is submitting a resume. So we also have to think about how do we, showcase that? Is it a project section that you talk about what you created, what tools, what APIs, what languages, and then have it hyperlinked to the actual website? Or if it's not live, maybe it's something that you can store out on GitHub. But absolutely, yes, we can help with that and provide some feedback.
Ashley, here's a question for you. If my code isn't perfect, will it work against me if I put it on my GitHub?
Ooh. Thinking from a first impression, You know, you only get one. So I think I'd have to better understand, you know, how imperfect, you know, I would probably need to learn a little bit more on what's preventing it to get to a better place, or you know, how we can, maybe it's a different project to put on there. I think at the end of the day, you just want to focus on, you know, does it showcase your abilities in a positive manner. Oh, great, Marie. Apparently, there are some different platforms that you can get feedback on your code before posting it to GitHub. Well, all right. If we don't have any other questions, you know, kind of one more plug for feedback. You guys, just so you're aware, you are kind of part of a pilot rollout of this program. The state is considering looking at kind of using this model for other job sectors. So, you know, I say that just with the plea to please provide any open and honest feedback on how we can improve the services that we provide job seekers. Because I guarantee if you're needing help in one area, I bet, you know, Michael, Sherry, and Kim are also needing the same help. So anything we can do to kind of tailor our, whether it's our webinars, or future training opportunities, or the platform that we're using to host the trainings, feel free to reach out. And just so you know, this is probably going to be our last webinar on kind of IT occupations, you know, especially since I'm seeing some familiar faces, which is great. Hopefully you're learning something new each time you join us, and it is great to interact with you directly. But again, if there's any type of feedback you can provide, we're kind of thinking on kind of towards the first of the year, or actually next week, focusing more on job search best practices, kind of the how do I utilize the automated email notifications to actually push jobs within my area of interest, not the ones that are spammy, and how you can optimize how you're submitting resumes.
Hey,
Yes,
Ashley.
Stephen, we are sending out notifications via email. Is that a new thing? For our events and programs. Also, definitely just keep an eye on our events and calendar page. If for some reason you miss our email, we're always going to post that event there. And of course, our social media. Marie over our marketing and operations would probably love if you would like, share, and follow us out there. We sometimes post job opportunities, or even free training opportunities, such as I think we previously posted a certificate of a free AWS training certificate. All right. Well, guys, appreciate your time. If there's anything we didn't answer, feel free to reach out, and hope you have a great rest of the afternoon.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.